I kind of want to take a step back and say, listen, if I was in your shoes right now and I was starting from ground zero, this is exactly what I would do.
What is up, guys? This is Tristan, and today we are going over how to invest into a rental property. And guys, this is for beginners. We're going to distill this information down so that at the end of this, a first grader can go out there and invest into a property. That's how simple we're going to get. We have an awesome guest today. My brother, who are you?
Adam Moore. Thank you, Tristan. Seriously.
Awesome. Yeah. And this guy, he actually motivated me into getting my first property. And Adam, you are familiar with the real estate background. What exactly do you do?
First off, Tristan, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you inviting me on your podcast.
Of course, dude. Of course.
Yeah, man. So I am a real estate agent as well as an investor for the last 2 years. This is something that I specialize in and something that I love helping new investors and kind of I think this today is going to be a great help for people looking to get into real estate for the first time.
Absolutely. We're highly huge advocates of the real estate game, especially as for young guys out there. Young guys that are aspiring to do something big with their life. I really believe real estate is a huge and enormous part of this game. And sometimes it gets complex for a lot of people. Our goal today, as we've got a few properties under our belt, our goal today is just to simplify it down for you. Okay, so that's our biggest thing. Adam, let's just go right into it, right? First thing, house hack. What exactly is house hacking, and what is something, and how can one of these guys take it and run with it?
Yeah, house hacking is where you purchase a property and you live in it and rent out the other units. So this could be a duplex, a triplex, quadplex. It can even be a single family residence, which is the first property that I purchased.
Yeah. And it's interesting, duplex, triplex, quadplex, you're renting out the other units and you could potentially cash flow, meaning that you profit off of just living in your own area. So you could be living for free essentially and having this property. Right? With a single family, how did you do that? I know a lot of people may not have duplexes or triplexes, quadplexes over in your stuff, but how did you do it with a single family?
Yeah, well, first off, I want to say the biggest reason why people get into the house hacking is because it's easy, it's safe investment, and man, it's overall, you're taking advantage of a lowest of all interest rates. You're taking advantage of tax exemptions. You're taking advantage of you being the property manager and living in the property, making sure everything's nice and neat and going smoothly. And man, it's simply just the easiest way to get into it while producing income, right, and building wealth. So
it's only 2 to 4 units, right, for multifamily. You can't really go above 4 units.
Yeah, after that's commercial.
Yep, after that's commercial. Mm-hmm. So with your specific thing, with your single family, you just rented by the room? How'd you do that?
So going into my first house hack, I graduated from tech with a mechanical engineering degree and took the job offer that I received at an engineering company northeast of Dallas, and I took it to my loan officer, who then approved me of a loan, and then I purchased my first house, and then I rented out the other 2 rooms to engineers at that company.
Did you profit off of that? Did they pay for the mortgage essentially?
They covered my whole mortgage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So my whole mortgage, my taxes, my insurance, and that allowed me to live in this house completely for free. So it saved money on rent. And then on top of that, I was paying off the loan at the same time, right? Yeah. And then on top of that, this was around 2021 where homes were valued pretty low and they started appreciating over time. So there was a huge surplus and appreciation during those last couple years. Yeah. And I would say,
if you're a young guy out there and you're watching this, right, and you see this and you're like, oh, what is house hacking? What is this? And you're literally seeing these tangible steps. I would really shoot for the stars on this one. This might be my biggest advocate on getting into the real estate game as a young guy that might not have particularly the capital, but really wants to get into it. And this is something that you can literally live for free. You can potentially profit, if not like get very close to the mortgage. And then you get all of the benefits of real estate, essentially, like legitimately all the tax benefits, all of the appreciation. And when I say appreciation, as time goes, the value increases. So this is a huge thing. Like if you're a young guy watching this, definitely aspire to do that. And anything off of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, so what I love the most about real estate is, in this case, right, I put 5% down on this house. Mm-hmm. So I purchased a $225,000 asset at the price of $11,000, right?
So
I own this property now. And what a lot of people fail to realize, or I guess when you're starting off, you don't know, but real estate increases over time. So, right, if I own a $225,000 asset and it's appreciating at 10% a year, I mean, some markets it does that, or if not more, that means my property of $225,000 next year is worth $250,000.
Not to mention the rents as well. The rents are going to gradually increase each year as well, too. So there's like this gap that essentially like you're going to increase and you get a little bit better each and every single year. It sets you up for a lifetime rather than just this short temporary gain. It's a lifetime asset, essentially. Let's go into number 2, all right?
Okay.
Besides house hack, let's go into like, hey, I've got a little bit of capital. I can invest into a property. And what does that process look like? And I know you're not a mortgage officer or anything like that, but if we could just distill it down and do this very simply, quickly, what does that look like?
You know, one of my prime examples I have is my buddy Tristan, right? So he recently purchased a triplex out in Ohio at a price that was, Ohio, out of all places. But man, you know, a lot of people don't look at those areas, right? And he got into this property at a lower price, put a little bit down, and what, Tristan, you're probably cash flowing about $1,100 a month?
Yeah, so the deal is essentially, well, I put down 25%. So at a rental rate, like if you're not going to be in that house, it's 25% down, right? But in out-of-state markets, essentially, if you have, you know, a little bit of capital to your name, you can potentially do this because the purchase price was $127,000, right? That's like $31,000 for an asset that will cash flow $1,100. Not to mention that's with an 8.1% interest rate. If that goes down, you're looking at $1,300-ish, potentially close to it. But out-of-state markets is a great way, and I think it's a very slept-on way, especially for a beginner that may have a little bit of capital in the bank that really wants to get in and maximize their potential investment. And I like Ohio, I like Indiana, and I like Albany, New York. Those are my out-of-state little tricks for you guys. So if you guys are looking for that, that's definitely something. What do you think about out-of-state markets?
Man, you know, I specialize in DFW, and I think that DFW is one of the best markets to invest in terms of appreciation. Mm-hmm. However, cash flow wise, because the market is so competitive out here, with the combination of rates being a little bit higher, you know, you have to kind of look into places like Ohio or other places in order to, you know, create that cash flow.
Sure. Let's go into subject 2. Okay, because you are familiar. You have a subject 2 deal. And what exactly is subject to? I know I say a lot of people, because literally with this type of deal, you don't have to have any credentials. You don't have to have literally no bank accounts shown. You don't have to show anything. Mm-hmm. This is something that literally you don't have to have any work experience, nothing. You can go and get a property right now. What exactly is sub 2?
Yeah, Tristan, so a subject to, or subject to the existing mortgage, is where you will essentially take over the seller's mortgage payment, their current mortgage payment. So the way it works is, let's take, for instance, somebody who is typically in a financial hardship, or somebody where their loan amount is similar to how much the home is worth, right? So let's say, Tristan, you have a $300,000 property, and you have a mortgage of around $300,000, and you bought it back in 2020 where rates were 2.5%, right? So Tristan's over here making $1,400, $1,500 payments on his house, right? And right now, that's just unheard of. to do on a $300,000 house. So I go to Tristan and I say, hey, man, listen, I will take over your entire mortgage. I'll start making the payments for you, but in return, you will give me the deed of the property. And the reason why that's so powerful, and the reason why that like Tristan would want to take that deal, is because if he were to sell his property right now, a $300,000 house on the market, he would not only be responsible for the agent fees of 6%, but closing costs is 2%. So if you look at that, he would be out of pocket $24,000. But because I come in and say, hey, Tristan, listen, I'll pay for all the closing costs. I'll take over the mortgage. And, you know, you look at the closing cost, which is 2%. So I'm into a house at $6,000, making $1,400, $1,500 payments every month. And Tristan's coming out of house paying zero. So that's why it's so powerful, right? Obviously, there's a lot more to it, and I definitely recommend looking to sources like Pace Morby or obviously talking to your lawyer and other people about it. But I will say that it is something that is becoming a lot more popular nowadays because people see the value in it. And, man, it's real quick, Tristan.
Sure.
So let's say I take over this property, $1,400, $1,500, right? And then I do the exact same thing we were talking about house hacking wise. So I live in the property. I don't have to, but if I do, you know, then I rent out Tristan for $800, rent out to another homie for $800, and then I'm sitting there with, you know, I have a home that's completely being paid off, right? I have an asset that's growing over time.
Yeah.
Tax advantages. We won't even get into that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it is. You're not paying a dime.
It takes a little bit of effort to find the deal. Don't get me wrong, but how could someone go out there and find a deal like that today? They can't just. I mean, they could maybe go on Zillow or Realtor or anything like that. But like, what would someone go out there and do? How would you find a deal like that?
Yeah, so I think you know, if you're looking into these sources and you look up subject to, you're going to find that a lot of, you know, real estate gurus will make it sound very easy. Go out there, you know, look around on the Facebook, or, you know, you'll find something on the MLS. That's not really the case, right? This market is very, very saturated with other investors as well. So the way that I do it, as well as other friends will do it, is we will pull up a list every single day of people that are being foreclosed on, people that their homes are vacant, going through a divorce situation, or some sort of instance where it would cause them to be motivated to sell, right? Then we contact them and say, hey, listen, this is kind of our proposal. This is a way to get out of this situation with zero money. We'll even pay you the amount of equity that you have in the home. So we'll even give them some, and then we'll take over this house at a low monthly payment.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's powerful today. If you are a young guy, if you have no credentials, if you have legitimately no credit history, this could be something that you guys could potentially utilize and maximize on, because legitimately, we were talking about this before the podcast, that you're 1, 2, maybe 3 deals away from really setting yourself up for a lifetime within real estate. That's what it takes. Like, you're 1, 2, 3 deals away from potentially setting yourself up for a lifetime, a great life, truly. That's why we're really emphasizing this today.
I kind of want to take a step back and say, listen, if I was in your shoes right now and I was starting from ground zero,
sure,
this is exactly what I would do. I would speak to a mortgage officer and, you know, click the link in the bio. I'll set you up with one, not affiliated to me, but somebody I always recommend, right? Yeah. They will get you set up financially, prepare, you know, set you up on how much you should be filing your taxes for, how you should be setting up your finances for this coming season, right, in order to get approved of the loan. Yeah. They look at your debt to income ratio, right? So depending on how much you're making and how much you're in debt and you're paying off every month and your home payment, that will dictate how much you're being approved of, right? So, sorry, going back to it, man. I would get a conventional or FHA loan that takes 3.5% down or 5% down, or conventional, it's 3%. You can go as low as, right? And you take that money to the bank and you're saying, hey, listen, this is what I want to buy. They'll give you a pre-approval letter. You come to somebody like me as an agent, or, you know, somebody that'll be able to help you get into an off-market property, and you just start home shopping, right? You'll find that home, and then I mean, Tristan, that's probably the best way I would do it.
That would be the best way to go about it today. If I'm a small business guy, right? Because we're both small business guys. I run a pressure washer business. You run a realtor business. And a lot of people that listen to this, they run small businesses. So what I would really advise you to do, if you're looking for a 3 to 5% down, you need to be a big advocate of reaching out to a CPA and literally asking them, how much do I need to show on taxes to be able to qualify for X house? You need to really recognize how much I need to show to qualify, because I know a lot of you guys, y'all are writing off a ton of stuff. Y'all aren't showing up on enough taxes. You need to show enough taxes to qualify for a loan. That is a huge emphasizer. You can't get across the IRS, guys. You have to be able to show some stuff. And I would really advise you to go out there and take a look, find a CPA. They'll tell you exactly how much you need to show so that you can be able to qualify for a 3 to 5%. Once you get into that 3 to 5% down, you're going to be money.
So I want to talk about the next steps there. So once you're approved of a loan and starting shopping around, I highly recommend getting into that first tactic we were talking about with house hacking. So, getting a duplex or a triplex wherever you are. If they have duplexes or triplexes in your area, they may just have single family homes, that's affordable. But the way they do this is you take your income. Let's just take a guy that's making $120 a year, right? $120,000, make $10,000 a month, just to make the numbers easy.
Yeah.
And you have a debt to income ratio, what they look at as a lender, of 45%. So that means your debts cannot outweigh $4,500 in this case, right? Mm-hmm. So the way you would offset that is if you get into a duplex, for instance, you can use the estimated rental rate in that area. So let's say you're renting out the other side for $2,000,
yeah,
right?
That's a good point.
The lender's going to look at that and say, hey, we'll count that as income up to 75%. So they'll take $1,500 and add that income towards your portfolio. Yeah. So that way you can get approved of a duplex that's, it could be $600,000.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, oh my gosh, I'm going to wait for a quick second. Yeah. We're at about 20 minutes. Let's go to like 25.
Okay.
Cool stuff. It'll be like a little shorter podcast, and then we can kind of go into some depth as well. All right. Last little thing that we're going to talk about, Adam. You have something I'm not really familiar with, but wholesaling. How could someone come in, a brand new beginner into real estate, how could they come in and utilize this type of tactic?
Yeah, so wholesaling is famous for getting into real estate with zero money down, zero experience. You don't need a license. You don't need a degree or anything. I've known people in the last couple months that have gotten into wholesaling and has cleared 6 figures with zero money down, right? Yeah, and the way you do this is you get a home or piece of land under contract for a certain price, right? And then you present that price to other investors at a higher rate. So let's say, for instance, I get a home under contract for $100,000. And then Tristan here, our real estate mogul, says, I want to invest in this property and I'm willing to pay $150,000 for it, right? So I go to Tristan and I say, listen, I'm going to assign what is called the equitable rights, and I assign that contract over to Tristan at $150,000. So I would make that spread of $50,000, and Tristan would get into a property at a price that he favors,
Hold on. So with zero down, right? Mm-hmm. Like you own the rights to this property, do you? Or no? No,
you're
just like a middleman kind of.
I'm the middleman.
You're the middleman. Yeah.
The way you would kind of go about this practically is, kind of touching on how I acquired, subject to properties. Yeah. You would most likely find some sort of distressed property or somebody looking to sell fast or at a discounted price, right? You get it under contract, let's say for 30 days. And within that 30 days, you have what is called an option period. This option period allows you as a buyer, somebody who has it under contract, to exit, to leave this contract at any moment, and all you will lose is what is called an option fee. So typically speaking, you can put down $10, you can put down $100. It doesn't matter. There's no set number, right? So I put $10 down, and I have a property under contract. And if I can't sell it to Tristan or somebody else, boom, I lose $10. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, you do have to have a little bit of money down. $10.
Adam, closing regards. Right, and I'm going to attach his Instagram, by the way. If anyone's in DFW, please go and take a look at him. He is the best in the game. He's the next Graham Stephan of this realm. I wholeheartedly guarantee you that. So I'm going to attach all of his stuff. If you guys are in the DFW, or if you know anyone in the DFW, please reach out to him. He's awesome. But Adam, if you could give a piece of advice to anyone out there that is wanting to get into the real estate game, what would you recommend and what would you give to these guys?
Tristan, I think the message that I'm trying to send to these viewers is really how important it is to get into real estate, especially at a young age. There's a reason why most of the United States' millionaires all own real estate, right? And it's something that I encourage everyone listening to learn more about, and just ask questions and connect with more people in the game, because I can tell you firsthand that, I left my engineering job and pursued this full time because I saw the potential behind it. And 2 years in, I can tell you that it was by far the best decision that I've ever made. And, get to do podcasts like this and express the value that I've seen and able to use the knowledge that I've gained to, give to other people. So I can tell you that getting into real estate is by far the best investment you can do in your future. And I know a lot of Tristan's viewers are all contractors here and people that are entrepreneurs and people that are wanting to grow their business. And I can tell you that it is very important to diversify all that.
I would agree with that. And I believe that you need to be right before your business is right, actually. And I would argue that. I would argue that you need to be right before your business is right. But analyze and utilize your business to put it into certain assets to make money, dude. That's the biggest thing. And it's so important, guys. And this guy motivated me to get my first property. I went into depth. You guys can go and take a look at it in the last video. Subscribe to the channel.
Subscribe to the channel. Tristan's the man. No, subscribe to the channel. Tristan's the man. I'm telling you, entrepreneurship is the way to go. I know you all listening understand that fully. And I can tell you, house hacking, whether it's wholesaling, subject to, if you're interested at all, feel free to connect and, man, subscribe, like.
Do it, baby. Come on with it. My brother, it's a pleasure always. And, guys, like I said, go and take a look at his stuff. We're going to get out of here. Peace.